Chainsaw Man.
I really like Chainsaw Man. I was first introduced to it when you were doing the show.
Yes, so Cantent, we covered the entirety of the Chainsaw Man manga on this podcast show. So I'm not going to be talking about the manga very much at all, partly because that's the last time I read it, so I don't remember, like, enough of it to tell you what's different between the manga and the anime in depth. It's very similar, but at the same time, there are definite tonal differences that make it feel... I would say there are certain scenes that I prefer the way it felt in the manga, certain scenes that I knew would be really cool in anime and were, and then it made it feel like the anime was worth existing, worth watching, and I do think it makes a good introduction. Like, if you... Because you watched the first season and your reaction was basically, well, now I need to read this manga.
Yeah.
Which I kind of hoped would be the case, because manga's always a hard sell to anybody to read a 20-volume manga. No matter how good you think it is, no matter how good they think it is from the outside, they still have to commit to, like, I'm going to spend a few days of my life doing nothing but this.
How many pages would you say is, like, typically in a volume?
200.
Okay, so on the drive to Philly recently, I read No Longer Human.
You read that that's a long-ass fucking manga.
Yeah, it's like 300 pages, I think.
Is that all? It looks huge.
I read it in the span of like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So, and that's...
You are a fast reader. You could probably read Chainsaw Man in a day if you really put your mind to it. But
on the differences between what I've seen in the manga and in the show, the manga seems to do a lot better job of being very, very bleak, because a lot of it doesn't have any color. And so I think, I don't know, just in like some of the stills I've seen from the manga,
I honestly,
it looks scarier that way to me.
I think I find the anime to feel a little bit more bleak because of the colors, because it is so like gray toned and kind of sad in the way that it's colored. The manga, I would say the tone shifts more often. Like, it feels more different in different scenes. Like, the funnier scenes feel funnier. It's got a very punk rock atmosphere to it, and it's sort of sketchy and unkempt. The anime is kind of like... So, part of the thing about Chainsaw Man as well is that it's heavily influenced by film. There's lots of cinematic reference in the manga, and the anime seeks to kind of focus on that and make it a very cinematic experience, which works really well in certain parts where it's like really playing film homage, and that, you know, translates through back into it being film again. But there are certain parts where I feel like the manga is more deliberately ragged that just don't come through as much because the anime is so pretty. It's
really beautiful.
It's got lots of colors, lots of layers of... I say lots of colors even though a lot of it is like gray toned, but like lots of layers of colors, I mean. Everything I had heard about this show leading up to it coming out, it's produced by MAPPA, who have done a lot of great anime, especially in recent years. They've been handling the last seasons of Attack on Titan as well. It seems like they just pulled in basically every celebrity animator that exists because everybody wanted to be a part of Chainsaw Man. Everyone knows it's going to be a hit. Everyone wants to be attached to the franchise. The manga, even though it ends with a sequel, announcement, basically. And there's been, a bonus chapter since then, so it is intended to continue in some form. It's going to be a franchise. It's going to be a big deal. I think everybody involved in the production is committed to trying to, take it to the extreme. How do you feel about the way this show looks and feels as somebody who hasn't read the manga?
It's one of the prettiest shows I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen better chainsaw animation before, ever.
Nor will you.
Or just even, it's the best chainsaw in media right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so pretty to look at. Katana Man looks awesome as well.
We'll get into him later. So the way we're going to format this is... We're starting now just with overall discussion, sort of spoiler-free talk, and then we're going to go through episode by episode, basically describe the plot as it happens and react to, share how we felt about things. Not in excruciating detail, mind you, but we will go through it in order. That way, basically, if you haven't finished these shows or caught up, you can jump off whenever you get to the point that you think you're hearing spoilers. I only bring this up because while I don't really consider Katana Man to be a major spoiler, it could be taken that way by some people to know that there is a Katana Man in Chainsaw Man. So yeah, that's your very minor spoiler alert warning. I don't really care about spoilers, and you don't.
I-
Bird has actively spoiled himself to most of Chainsaw Man's plot while watching it. Like, in between episodes, he'll be, like, looking up, like, well, wait. Well, they can't be dead, right? So let me figure out how this person survives and look up all their powers and fucking like. Bird does not care about spoilers.
No, I like knowing. I like knowing all the chips that are in play.
Yeah.
Before the show is kind enough to tell me about them.
You're not waiting. You want to be playing the chess game with the creator.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to be on your team. I don't want to be playing against you. It's a really cool manga. It's a really cool show. I'm glad that you both enjoyed the show and that it inspired you to want to check out the manga.
Oh, if you could be a devil, what devil would you be?
Oh boy, Cheese Devil.
The Cheese Devil.
People fear cheese. They think it's stinky and stuff, but it's actually delicious and gooey.
The Diving Devil for me. Because I feel like that's a pretty scary one that not a lot of people think about, but the amount of fear that it generates.
I feel like both of us would only be fiend tier.
No, they're devils too.
We'll get into what all that means as we go. This is our boy Denji.
He starts without an eye.
He starts without an eye. You forgot about that, didn't you?
I did forget about that.
I had forgotten about it too. I'm very glad I went back and collected screen caps from all these anime so I could remember what the hell happens in these shows, because I don't have as good a memory as you usually do, but this was an easy thing to forget. At the start of the show, Denji, basically his dad had accumulated this massive gambling debt and then died. The leader of the Yakuza, I looked up everybody's names. You're going to see some names on screen here in a minute, but the Yakuza boss is listed on Mal as Yakuza, so he does not have a name as far as I know.
So I was thinking about it. This is kind of like a twisted, but the same beginning as Ouran High School Host Club.
Yeah, it's very similar actually in that, well, both of them are about a character who is just destitute poor, who's grown up poor, who does not have any kind of understanding of what it would be like to have like power in society or any
or in Denji's
kind of
case have most
basic
regular
necessities.
food.
Yeah, anything at all. He is below. Denji is basically as on the fringes of society as you could imagine a person being. He starts off the show having sold his right eye and his kidney and one of his testicles, I believe.
Oh my! I wonder which one was worth the most.
I don't know. I don't know if they're worth different amounts. It's
I would assume they are.
Probably. Anyways, Denji, he has sold off all his body parts. He's working for the Yakuza. I'm going to move on to my
As a
next
demon hunter.
slide finally. Holy shit, look at that.
It's Denji and the best boy Pochita.
Yes, Denji and Pochita make around 300,000 from killing one devil. Now remember, he doesn't keep any of this money. This is all just going towards his debt. He's friends with a devil dog? Pochita? Pochita is... I mean,
he's a chainsaw dog.
He's a dog with a chainsaw coming out of his face. We will learn later in this episode how they met and became friends. But this is Denji's only friend in the whole world is Pochita, a devil that he uses for his devil slaying job, something that other people are suspicious about. But you know, when you're at the bottom, what do you got? But a devil to work with. So that's what he's got.
At least Pochita's okay with it.
The bit kind of goes on for a while in this first episode of just rubbing in how shit Denji's situation is. The other guy who works for this Yakuza doesn't respect him and is like, I'm going to get him to eat a cigarette for some cash. So this is Denji eating a cigarette. He does spit it back out a second later to show you that he has some dignity after the guy drives off, you know. But only enough dignity to spit it back out after having eaten the cigarette for...
Well, you got to secure the bag.
$10 or something. Yeah. You know, I know plenty of people who did things like this when I was growing up, who would like...
I mean, I know plenty of people who could, like, do tricks with cigarettes and, like, flip them in and out of their mouths while it was lit, and, like, they could take a puff of it while it was on the inside of their mouths. That was pretty wild to watch. But, yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen anyone eat a cigarette. I might have.
You've eaten the cigarette? I've seen the lead singer of Foxy Shazam actually eat a lot of cigarettes. It's a mainstay part of his set. To Denji, being normal would be a dream come true. That's where he's at in life. Yeah, just again, this first episode, I think for me, this is what put me off about the anime initially. Because the manga, it is dark and depressing. Like you said, you even think the manga feels like a little bit rougher just because of like how fucking like gruesome the artistry is, I assume.
Yeah.
This version, like, it just felt a lot sadder to me. Like, Denji's situation in the manga, I guess, came off to me as, like, kind of comical how ridiculous it is, like, how over the top his situation is. Maybe just because when it's panel for panel and it's just, like, hitting you with another piece of raw information every single frame, it's, like, it feels a little different than when you're kind of stewing in it and really, like, atmospherically soaking in his life and really feeling like, man, it sucks to be fucking Denji.
It can't totally suck, though. He's got a dog.
That's true. He does have Pochita, who he found not long after having his organs forcibly removed because of his father's death. He found a starving Pochita and told him, hey, you're a devil, right? You'll heal if you bite me, so bite me if you want to live. Even though he himself is dying, he was willing to sacrifice himself to Pochita, and that is why Pochita is so loyal to his buddy. Beautiful relationship explored in this first episode. And the Yakuza, they like make a deal with a devil for some power, and it immediately,
the zombie devil.
Yeah, the zombie devil immediately turns them all into zombies, and sicks them on Denji. So Denji here is getting stabbed. Him and Pochita are getting stabbed through with a sword from behind. An unexpected attack. Just the promise of devil powers was enough for them to willingly become my slaves. The devil explained. So yeah, this is like dark on dark. Like it's Denji's situation is dark, but the people who are holding him in that situation are also idiots and also fucked up badly enough to get their lives destroyed by a zombie demon, and it's just like all the way down. You're just on the worst path.
In this show, like, unless you're Makima, you really can't get away with being evil.
You can't get away with much of anything. Characters don't... the human race is actually pretty fucked in the Chainsaw Man universe. As we go along, we'll learn nobody's really in a great situation, but Denji's in the worst. I mean, he's literally dead in a dumpster right now. He has been beheaded. He is completely dead.
I didn't know he had gotten beheaded, but yeah, he sure is.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's a fun image I had missed as well.
Yeah.
Pochita's like an octopus on him.
Well, for our podcast viewers, I have to remember that the people who are listening to this cannot see it at all. But Pochita attaches himself to Denji and uses chainsaw magic to sew him back together, and basically becomes a part of Denji. He fuses into him.
So I was a little upset with this part because it meant Pochita wasn't a character anymore. But he still shows up in dream sequences occasionally, and that's
true.
That's fine.
He's like speaking into Denji's soul sometimes. So, he's still there. And he gets mentioned a lot and shown in a lot for somebody who's not a character actively in the plot. But it's because he's important, and he's the key to becoming Chainsaw Man, who you see here ripping and tearing. This becomes like a 5-minute sequence of just murdering zombies.
There's a lot of zombies, and he just got chainsaws.
This is where I have to start making Devilman comparisons. I'm sure I probably did this when I talked about the manga too, but like Chainsaw Man is very much a Devilman. It is a take on the like apocalyptic story of devils versus humans, of corruption in the human soul, and of like becoming one with a devil but retaining enough humanity that you can be the savior of both devils and humans, possibly, maybe, or else maybe everything's fucked, who knows.
It's also a story of how much dog in you can you survive having at any given time.
So yeah, this whole scene is very akin to the start of Devilman, when he first gets possessed by the spirit of Amon and just rips through the whole nightclub. If you've seen any Devilman adaptation, you know what I'm talking about. They went all out with it like that and just have him fucking slaying zombies for like minutes on end. Looks amazing.
There are a lot of really beautiful, like, group slaughters by Chainsaw Man in this show. I think that's got to be where most of the budget goes to, is just him having a lot of fun hacking and slashing the whole time.
The action scenes are insane.
Yeah.
Anytime you like clock into the show, always looks really good, but when you clock into action mode, it's like a whole other level, and it goes on for so long.
And the music, it's
almost
punk
every
rock
other
the whole
episode,
time.
so you're just like, it's pretty cranked as anime adaptations of fucking shonen manga go, especially.
Oh, and they curse. I forgot about that, but they actually curse in this.
They do. I mean, obviously, there's some you know, the subtitlers are having a little bit of creative fun sometimes. But,
Sure.
But they don't exactly speak very properly in this show, the character.
I don't think Denji would even have a concept of how to speak properly.
So this episode ends with Makima, who we don't know yet, showing up with some people in black suits, and they're just like, hey, we were here to deal with this zombie thing, but you already did. What's going on with you? And then she gives him a big hug.
Woof.
Yep, and this is pretty much the definition of their relationship from this point going forward.
Bark.
Is she offers him these basic comforts like human contact that he has never had in any way, shape, or form. We're really going to get into that in episode 2.
He just wants pets. He really is like a dog.
He is like a dog, and she's going to treat him that way, and he's going to like it. Even though, at first, he doesn't think
He doesn't think it's a good thing.
Yeah, so I pulled this screen grab for people listening at home. It's where she's telling him that they euthanize dogs that are no longer useful. Like, after saying that he was going to be like her dog. And he has the thought like, well, she treats people like dogs. That's fucked up. Like, this woman's not okay. But then she gives him some clothes and, like, touches him once. And he's like, my whole life, people have called me dirty and smelly and avoided me. This woman was nice to me. I'm going to devote myself to her forever. She also tells him that his friend is still inside of him. Pochita is still there. She reassures him.
What do you mean by that?
By about halfway through the episode, we reach a point where she's literally got him by a string.
Yeah, well, an udon string, but yeah.
An udon
They've
string.
gone out for lunch. They're having a good time. This is the first time Denji's ever, I would say, been out to lunch or dinner.
Yeah, he's never had this kind of, like, he's never even had udon before. He's
Or
never
a
had
hot dog.
food this good. His life was just fucking nonstop misery. He's never
Imagine
had attention
being
from
so
a woman.
down bad that you've never had a hot dog before.
I can't. I cannot imagine being as... Well, that is what this show is, right? Denji is the most down bad man in the world. The most just absolutely wretched fucking person. So it's not difficult for Makima. Now, we're going to learn a lot more about Makima as this show goes on. But even right from the start, it is obvious that she has a lot of power.
Woof.
She shows up, like, with a brigade of people following her. They were going to deal with this situation. She works for, like, a federal bureau of something. As she's driving him around, like, she could make his life amazing. But his baseline is so low, and she never goes above whatever is necessary at that moment. Like, she started with a hug. Pretty simple stuff. She fed him, gave him clothes. Very simple stuff. Going forward, it's going to continue on that trajectory. And I just need everyone to pay attention to that. It's an important part of their relationship that, like, she's stringing him along.
Look,
there's a string picture on the screen right now.
It's
for
udon.
It's a string of udon that she is using to lure him. He is the abandon on his face as he goes for this string of udon. I'm sure this is some kind of movie reference or something because it's such a weirdly specific pose that this is in the manga too. As she's feeding him the udon, but like.
All I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with managing expectations. Makima is a master at this. This is why she's in charge. Maybe she should be in control. Woof.
Right.
Oh, Aki. He's the best.
After they've had their sort of date for a while with the udon, she's like, this is going to be your partner, this dude Aki, and he immediately does not like Chainsaw Man Denji. He's like, won't even look at him really. He's
I think it's
like,
mostly
"Fuck this
because
guy."
Aki is in love with Makima, and he can tell that Denji is in love with Makima.
True, I think that's a big part of it. Well, it's also he's gonna tell us his problems actually with Denji in about a minute. So no worries about that. But yeah, he doesn't like him. He gives off major Sasuke vibes to me just by the nature of being like the dark-haired number 2 guy who's kind of better and kind of cooler and
Or
smarter.
Death the Kid.
But like,
Yeah. He's
Death
Sasuke
the Kid
or
was a
Death
little
the Kid.
bit more of a. He wasn't like a rival though, you know, or like like a necessarily like a good friend.
Well, he was. Yeah, he was friends to them. He was trying to be better than them, though.
I guess that's fair. So then you've got.
Makima ties Denji's tie, and it's the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
I had to get a screen grab of Makima doing Denji's tie because you were like, "Oh, every man's dream," and I was like, "Have I never done this for you?" And you were like, "You tried."
Tying ties is hard.
Especially someone else's tie. I feel like it's easier to do your own than to do... I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just really suck, but
Maybe I'll try bow ties and have you give a go at that.
Sorry, I saw in the chat the classic trio, Naruto, Sasuke, and Eric Cartman. Yeah.
Wait, what?
That's power in this dynamic, right? Well, we'll get to that in a bit. I assume that's what they're going for.
Wow, Aki looks to be in distress. I wonder what could have happened here.
Aki basically was like, you know what? I'm sick of your attitude because you seem like you only want to join this group so that you can get close to Makima, and that's not a good reason. So he beats the shit out of Denji. And Denji, after hearing him out, goes, you know, when I fight a dude, I only aim for the balls. And so he kicks Aki in the balls.
He does say this right after he's kicked him in the balls by surprise.
This is him doing it a second time in this
I think he does it about six more times while he's laying on the ground.
6 or 7 times he kicks him in the balls.
I think this is the worst instance of the show with the nut kicking in terms of it being animated, but there's quite a few times where nut kicking is implied. And it hurts.
Nut kicking happens for sure in Chainsaw Man. It's definitely a part of the vibe. This
is Denji's wonderful toast. So Denji lives with Aki now. Makima is making them live together because Denji can't be trusted on his own. Aki has money and a house, and Denji gets to Aki's house and immediately puts butter and every kind of jam, honey, syrup, and just like any condiment to make
looks
the
like
ultimate toast.
Might be on there.
Yeah, cinnamon, sugar, and then he eats it, and he is in fact surprised that it is the ultimate toast. I mean,
it looks pretty good actually. I would eat that. I'd probably gain like 2 pounds instantly, but I would do it.
It's a pretty hefty slice of bread. It looks like Texas toast. Oh, Squid Fiend.
Is that what
I don't know if
is?
he's a squid. Actually, he looks like a Heracross pincer.
They were like, you'll know these guys. I don't know if he was he a fiend?
Yeah,
because he says like you'll know them because they have fucked up heads.
Yeah, I guess those are fiends. Because Power has
she's
things.
got the horns. Okay, I hadn't really thought about that. She had a fucked up head compared to this fucking thing.
Yeah,
it's very obviously a fiend. But yeah, this is like their first little mission with Aki and Chainsaw Boys, just like, I don't know, eating a bird in the middle of a room.
Well, he wants to be eating people. He just only has birds, I guess.
He didn't have access to people. After they kill this fiend, Denji is thinking about his life and concludes that it is currently a 10 out of 10.
Literally, oh my god.
And I love this.
10 out of 10.
The screen grab I have here, I actually, this is a strong moment to me of visual and writing storytelling, because I love when the visuals tell a slightly different story from the dialogue. Mm-hmm. Denji's talking about how his life is a 10 out of 10 as he's just like staring out the window of some house like covered in blood, expressionless,
after he just decapitated something.
Yeah, and like ultimately the point of the scene is that he's feeling empty. He's like, I don't understand why, even though my life is a 10 out of 10, I don't feel complete. But he has everything he's ever wanted or dreamed of or even thought possible. So where do you go from here? Gotta find my purpose. Gotta find me.
Boobs. I just want some boobs. That's a big character motivation for Denji. I hadn't even noticed the posters that he has in his room. But yeah, Denji really likes boobs. We'll learn coming up pretty soon that he'll pretty much do anything for the chance to touch a boob. And if you've never touched a boob and you're 16 or 17, however old Denji is, he doesn't even know.
This is far from the worst motivation. I didn't touch a boob till I was like 22. No, this is a great motivation. I think this is a big part of Chainsaw Man's popularity. He's, again, just the most down bad man in the world, but like...
He's an incel icon.
Very motivated about it. He's not going to lie down and cry about how he hasn't touched boobs. As soon as he becomes determined to do this, this is all that is on his mind from now on. He's militant in search of boob from this point forward. This is the man's life now, because he had no sense of purpose. What was he going to do?
But now he's got food, he's got clothes, he's got a place to sleep. What comes next?
Boobs. How much was this influenced by these posters happening to be in the room at that moment? He is that.
I guess you're right. They couldn't be his posters.
No, this is just that guy's.
Yeah.
The shit that was in this room that's full of like massive amounts of trash and what looks like probably Shonen Jump magazine over there. If I had to guess, Power gets introduced. Girl. She introduces herself immediately. Says, "Prostrate yourselves before me, humans. I am Power." She is not the Power demon.
Yeah, so I was really confused about that at first. So she's technically not a demon, she's a fiend. So a fiend is basically a devil that is inhabiting a dead body. Power just chose the name Power because I think she thought it sounded cool.
I think she wants to be seen as the Power demon, but she is in fact the blood demon. There's some sort of implication that you become a fiend when you're like less feared, right? Or something like that?
No, it's just that you're inside of a corpse.
Okay. But your power level
are less powerful,
in general
typically.
is connected to how feared you are.
As a devil, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But as a fiend, that's not the case anymore?
Fear still gives them power. It's just their power is not as strong as it would be in devil form in most cases. There are a couple fiends that does not apply to, that we'll get to. Fun fact, when you were initially reviewing the manga of this, I could not tell that Power and Makima were different people.
They've both got crazy eyes.
And almost the same color hair.
Makima's
is darker.
I guess in the manga it looks a little closer, more similar than, obviously the anime colors all the hair, so Makima's got like redder hair.
But Power's voice actress is awesome. She seems like she's having a great time. Power herself is an insane person. She's not a person, so she's probably just a regular devil in terms of personality.
I wish I had looked into the voice actors, because Denji has a really unique voice that I assume he's probably like maybe not a seasoned voice actor or something, just because he sounds so different, and I kind of like it. But yeah, Power's really fun. She is just immediately lovable, only becomes more so as the episodes go on. The first thing she does is like, basically, she realizes that there's a target nearby, immediately runs off, just runs into the fray, makes a giant blood hammer, and balloon pops this fucking demon.
It was the sea cucumber devil.
Screaming, "Witness my accomplishment," in a sea of guts and blood. I'm a big fan of the ridiculous Guro moments in Chainsaw Man.
There's a lot of wandering around in viscera in this show.
Yeah, it's incredibly fucking violent. So I'm not surprised that the anime took the somewhat darker tone that it did, because like Chainsaw Man, I believe it published in Shonen Jump, which is, it can get dark. It has JoJo, or had JoJo before it went to a different magazine, but like it's had a lot of pretty dark manga. But Chainsaw Man is distinctly like adolescent. Like, it's aimed at, like, squarely 16-year-olds, I feel like. Just, like, if you're at the age where you're starting to think smoking looks really cool, Chainsaw Man is fucking right for you. If this had existed when I was that age, this would have blown everything else out of the water as, like, by far my favorite anime that had existed. It's crazy how, just how much action is in this show, how fun the characters are, how cool they look. And again, the huge gore splattered spills, which might have scared me even, if I was too young. But there's definitely a sweet spot of like, it's more violent than say, Naruto, which can get pretty gory.
It can?
There's like, well, early on, like, there's people getting impaled to the chest. Do you remember how Haku dies in, like, early into Naruto? Or, like,
I guess, but there's not ever any blood.
There's a huge amount of blood.
Really?
There's plenty of blood. There's a lot of blood in Naruto. There's not guts usually, or viscera like this. Chainsaw Man is like gross out, over the top, like ridiculous violence, especially in the anime where they can animate it and really give it that pop. This moment where she drops the hammer on this thing looks,
it explodes. It helps that all the demons' guts are like Technicolor purple, and all different shades and everything. I was thinking, because a lot of anime are making brand deals with games right now, like Overwatch just had a One Punch Man thing, and Fortnite has had all of them. So my brother Dr. Stone, he used to play this game called Viscera Cleanup Detail. And a crossover it would be if they did a Chainsaw Man Viscera Cleanup Detail, where you just had to like go clean up a devil site or something.
That's really funny. Yeah, that would be a hilarious crossover. It would be the most unexpected but spot on perfect crossover imaginable. This show, it's grotesquely violent. It's over the top. It's insane. Like, I want to compare it to like Psycho-Pass when the people like explode from the Dominators, but it's actually even more gruesome than that.
Well,
like, there's not a lot of anime that are
over.
Actually this like visceral, you know. So yeah, it's definitely up there as terms of like violent anime goes.
Does Another have guts like this?
I don't think
it does either. I mean, it's got that umbrella scene, and there's the elevator thing too, but I don't think you really see anything other than blood mostly. Anyway,
moving into episode 3, Power has a cat, or she had a cat named Meowy. She lost her cat right before she was caught by Makima and forced to work for this group.
The Public Safety Bureau,
is that what they're called?
Or
something
division
like
or something like that.
So she wants her cat back. That is the plot of this episode, pretty much.
What a noble thing, you know? Just want your animal back. And, you know, Denji having had a dog, it's very understandable. Pet owners, they gotta stick together.
This is one of the first shots that to me feels extremely Neon Genesis Evangelion, just because they're all not looking at each other on a train and it's all moody lit. It reminds me of one of the movies when they're like in the psychological mindscapes and shit, you know?
I think Power looks a lot more cool and relaxed than any character in Neon Genesis Evangelion ever could.
True. Both of them do definitely that. The characters in this are definitely like as cool as characters can fucking get. But yeah, this scene I've highlighted here of Power and Denji on the train, they basically are not really getting along, and Denji says, I don't think I could get along with her ever. Which is particularly hilarious because this is also when they are he's agreeing to help find the cat in exchange for getting to grab her boobs. All he wants is boobs. She's got boobs. We can hook this up. You help me get my cat. And
they're not even her boobs, technically, so it works
Well, we'll find out about that. But yeah,
Oh, no, because she's a fiend.
Oh, there's some... You mean because they're just like the body...
They're just some random girl's boobs.
Yeah, I guess so. She doesn't care about them. They're not hers. I never thought about it that way. So he doesn't get along with her at all. He's only interested in her boobs. But of course, she leads him into a trap. It's a bat that is an eater of people, and especially like babies. And
oh yeah, he goes on a whole spiel about like the correct order of things he's going to eat. I think the first one is like a child, and then it's like
a pregnant woman,
a middle or a fat man. Yeah, I don't know. This guy has like a whole list of stuff he wants to eat. Probably because he hasn't been out in the open for a while.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have an arm.
He lost an arm to one of the devil hunters. He's really pissed off. This is another one of the... Chainsaw Man definitely is like as edgy as it can possibly be. But moments like this, it's almost edgy in like a checklist way, where it's like, all right, we got a demon here. Let's list off every single edgy thing he could say he's gonna eat, like toddler, pregnant woman, you know, like anything you can think of that would be a shame for someone to kill specifically. He's gonna list it off.
It is worth mentioning, right before the Bat Demon is introduced, Power and Denji are approaching the house they have to go to, and previously Power has said something to the effect of, I can't be with you when we go up to the house because the demon is going to use, is going to use Meowy as a human or a feline shield. So they get up to the house and Denji goes to Power, hey, didn't you say you couldn't come up to the house? And Power goes, I did say something like that, didn't I? And then she knocks him out. It was all a trick, it was all a trap. She was just bringing a human for the Bat Devil to eat so that she could get her cat back. She doesn't care about Denji, they're not friends.
No, she's evil. She's just like Bat, but not really, because he's obviously fucking... Well, so we're gonna learn. I mean, she's eaten a lot of creatures. When she met Meowy, it was in the circumstance of she's just consumed a bear, like, cored this bear, essentially.
I will say, I disapprove of how little Power eats of the things she kills. She could really, use all parts of the buffalo.
Yeah, eat the whole goddamn bear. She really just kind of ate through the midsection of it. But she meets this cat and tells it, you smell really delicious for a cat, but you're really skinny, so I'm going to fatten you up first. Of course, we can tell right away she's going to end up falling in love with this cat.
That's how it happens. You bring an animal home thinking you're going to eat it, and then it's too adorable. You can't do it. Oh, look at baby Pochi. That's adorable, too.
Yep, so Denji realizes that he can relate to Power because the way she feels about the cat is the same way that he feels about Pochita, and the amount of relief he felt when he found Pochita on a night when he thought that he had lost it.
Also, specifically what it was, the Bat Demon Devil, I gotta figure out how to say devil instead of demon. The Bat Devil eats the cat because he is disappointed with Denji's blood, because it's not full human or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I think this flashback is a result of the devil eating the cat, and then he relates to Power going, oh, well, I can't hold Pochita anymore. I don't want you to not be able to hold Meowy anymore.
Right.
Which is pretty cute. It's a nice moment.
Bonding.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Unlike this moment where the Bat Demon, like, I don't know, there's a guy in a car that he's like, if you attack me, this guy's gonna die. And Denji's like, I don't fucking care about this guy at all. Throws the car. The guy manages to escape. This gets brought up later in an interesting scene where, like, basically Aki interviews a bunch of people about this incident, and one of them is this guy who's like, he said he didn't even care about me. So
he just chainsawed right through my car. What's wrong with you guys?
His moral character is being judged for actions such as this.
Well, actually, Aki chose not to.
Aki was judging him, but ultimately came to the conclusion that he's okay, and they're gonna keep using him. And the Blood Demon has this nice moment of realizing that blood
is warm.
Is warm and good and makes you feel nice. She's only ever thought of it as, the way people live and die, as a construction of death. But it's also a construction of life. Oh, this is the start of episode 4 also. They beat Bat. He eats Meowy
Power.
and Power. Power goes in after Meowy. They're both just kind of sleeping inside of his stomach for a little bit until Chainsaw tears it all up and then carries her out of the guts in a scene that, again, kind of reminds me of Eva, but this time it's the part where he saves Rei, when Shinji, rescues Rei in episode 5. But instead he's in guts. Instead of LCL fluid, it's a monster's inside.
And what is LCL fluid if not weird, scientifically manufactured guts?
Yeah. All right.
So he's celebrating that he gets to touch boobs. He's doing a little dance, and then whoops, his arm got cut off. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Turns out the Leech Devil is really upset about the Bat Devil being killed because they were gonna bang.
The Leech Devil is apparently Bat Devil's bae. This is where... This actually reminds me of two things. One being Devilman, because in Devilman, you have, the fucked up, weird, almost sexual monsters that always have some kind of, relationship or something going on that's, a little bit raunchy, But even more than that, it reminds me of this series called Apocalypse Zero, or Kakugo no Susume, which I made a video about called the most underrated anime of all time. because everyone hates it because it's full of these giant grotesque titty monsters and shit. But
oh, the one you used in your music video that one time?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
those are terrible. Yeah, I get why.
It's fucked up and violent and intense, but it's not much more so than Chainsaw Man. I just think Chainsaw Man wrapped it up in enough of a package, and also has a, the Apocalypse Zero, most people have only ever seen the 2-episode anime adaptation that is very incomplete and doesn't give you much of an idea of what the fuck is going on.
It's no Garzy's Wing.
Nothing truly is. But no, yeah, this reminds me of that hardcore. If you haven't seen my video on that show, you should watch that video to determine if you would be able to stomach that. That's probably the only thing I can think of that's like a shonen manga that is actually more hardcore than Chainsaw Man. Like, in terms of just the sheer disgustingness of what you will see, it's close to the same, but a little bit worse. He fights the Leech Devil for a while, and ultimately
gets his ass kicked. Just thrown all over the place. He does keep fighting. I mean, we do learn in this fight that if Denji loses too much blood, his chainsaws go back in.
Yes, he needs to consume blood to keep his powers up.
I don't think we learned that yet. Then, so his other arm gets cut off, he's running around, and then he cuts the leech with the little bit of chainsaw he still has sticking out of his head. It looks like things are over for him, and then Aki shows up, makes a weird little hand signal, looks at the leech through the hand signal, and says, "Yep." And then a big Naruto fox shows up and eats the leech devil, and the day is saved. Woohoo!
I think he says "kon." I think the monster's called Kon.
It's translated as "yip." I'm sorry,
really?
Yeah, but you are right. It is Kon.
Aki does not show up alone. He's got his whole fucking squad with him, and we're gonna meet all these characters over the coming episodes. You've got Himeno, the eye patch girl. You can't really tell that in this screen cap I have on screen. Of all of them squatted up.
Kind of just looks like she has a headband.
Arai, who's the guy with the scar on his face. He is the least memorable named character in Chainsaw Man, possibly.
Yeah, so he actually used to be named Chuck, but when he started his work as a devil hunter, he was like, on my missions, nothing's going awry.
Oh, God. And Kobeni, who everyone knows and loves if you know Chainsaw Man, but you'll find out why by the end of the season.
I don't quite get why yet.
I mean, come on. Come on! We'll get there.
Himeno is best girl.
That might be true. Here's where we're learning a devil hunter makes a contract with the devil so they can fight other devils.
More importantly, Denji is recovering, and Aki has cut him up some really nice apples.
Yes. I mostly wanted to fixate on the fact that Aki makes like little rabbits out of his apples when he's giving them to... It's the touches, the little...
It's very cute.
He's a very orderly person. Everything in his life is done to perfection.
I know who Aki reminds me of.
Who?
In K, the Kuro, the black dog, the guy with the sword that follows the main character around, and he's got the extendo hand and everything. He also cooks and is very upstanding about the rules and whatever. They're the same character, more or less.
Amazing. I'm gonna pretend I remember that character from K.
Wow.
Himeno,
Make a new season of K.
She does not trust power and tells Aki, like, if she goes on a fucking rampage, I am gonna have your ass about this. We'll see if anything like that might transpire. But anyway, power ends up moving in with them. This is another part that really reminds me of Evangelion. In particular, when Asuka shows up to start living with Shinji and Misato. But these three, being as they're all... I don't even know if they're closer in age, necessarily. I don't know how old Aki is supposed to be.
I think he's probably like 17
Power.
Or 18. Well, Power is a devil, so she's very old and not old. I don't know.
But they're more or less peers. They're gonna get to know each other. It's putting them all in the same house has similar results to Eva. Is I guess why I find it's such a strong comparison. But we'll see more of how that manifests as the show goes along. Denji and Power, they're truly like siblings. I think. They get into arguments about dumb shit, but they also bond over dumb shit. There's a scene where she's wasting food and he's yelling at her you're being rude to the farmers who grew it and such things. Having poor boy issues and offenses with her actions.
Boobs.
Yeah, so of course Denji has been promised that he's going to get to grab those titties, and he does. But
Power whisks him away into the restroom and lets him know, "Hey, I wasn't actually gonna let you touch my boobs, but then you saved Meowy, you saved me, and you killed the Bat Devil," or something like that. And so you get 3 squeezes for each one of those acts, and then right before he squeezes, bum bum bum. Power takes out like
no, he squeezes the first time,
Oh,
and then
I
it
see.
just kind of
Falls
out. That
I didn't know he wasted a squeeze. That's unfortunate.
she's wearing a like not even a push-up bra, but like pad, like just straight up like breast pads, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, something to make her titties look larger. This scene is almost comparable. I was telling you earlier, I have a video called "The Best Reaction to Food in Anime." It's a scene from this movie called Only Yesterday where they eat this pineapple, and the family's never eaten a pineapple. They don't realize it's not ripe. So the whole scene is this long, slow reaction of all of them being like, oh, this sucks. Like, we got all hyped for nothing. Like, this is very similar in tone, but it's just one guy wordlessly, like, you know, finding out about breast pads, finding out how disappointing and deceiving, but also getting to touch boob, so kind of just like, what am I supposed to feel?
Yeah.
Like, I've been deceived,
but he's touching boob, so he's
but
not.
it's oh, this is so much. It's a perfect emotional storm, and it's a good warning, in my opinion. I think what's great about Chainsaw Man, what it communicates to the kind of like frustrated, down bad young men that might be reading it, is that like
Bitches be shopping.
well, not just that, it's women be shopping is the goddamn thing.
Whoops.
Do your misogyny right. It's a good warning that, like, if you amp up these things in your mind, like sex and you know, getting to touch a boob, the reality can be so far from the expectation, and you never know in what way until you really are in the moment manifesting it. And we're gonna see, of course, how Makima is gonna turn this around again. But like, basically, the lesson that she is always teaching Denji is like, you have to instill meaning in the moment for it to have meaning. Otherwise, it is just it's just a thing happening. Like, yeah, you're touching a boob, but what does it mean? What does it, you know, what does it have to do with anything, you know? That's kind of where he gets stumped after.
Life is what you make of it.
Yeah. Here we go. My next screen cap is of Makima saying, eroticism like that gets more pleasant the closer you are to the other person. And so she has this whole, like, she draws him in with some foreplay, like foreplay to the act of getting to grab a boob, so that when she puts his hand on her boob, it's like angels singing, choir, majestic moment.
It's also a better boob than Powers.
It's true. But it's really about the build-up. You know, she got him worked up because of all the attention and all the distractions and all the different ways, all the different sides she's hitting him from, you know. Master craftsman of the sensual, if you shall. There you go.
Oh,
I have the
boob
grab, screen grab in here as well, for those who are watching the video version of this.
What is... Oh, right.
So
Aki's backstory.
Do you want to explain?
Yeah, sure. So it's not immediately clear it's Aki, but there's a kid. He's really upset that his little brother gets all the attention because his little brother is really, really sick. He keeps trying to ask his dad to play catch with him, and his dad's basically like, nah, fuck off. And then the little brother says, I want to play with my big brother. And so they run out, they're running around, they're having a good time. Well, at least the little brother's having a good time. Aki doesn't seem to be. Aki tricks the little brother into running home to get a ball, and then as he turns around to see the little brother walking into the house is demolished in a whirlwind by what we learn is the Gun Devil.
Yep, and an attack that killed, like,
1.2 million people in the span of, I think, like 12 minutes or something? 5 minutes? I don't know.
Very small amount of time, yeah. So, Aki's got a tragic backstory. I gotta say, so this is a point in watching the show, like, I mentioned in the first episode that the kind of glum atmosphere at the start like had put me off of the anime as compared to the manga. I felt like I was coming around on that by the time Power got introduced. She really injected a lot of like life and fun and antics into it, and it felt like it kind of reached that level of like comedy and just over the topness that the manga has and brightness. And I think it's really important that the story has like such a carefully crafted tone, because if you're just describing it or going back through and collecting moments, it's just depressing. Like, everything that happens, again, it's the darkest thing that could happen. It's like, oh yeah, Aki's backstory, he's like literally just playing with his adorable little brother. I didn't even show any of that. Don't want to open the wounds. You don't need to see the cute little kids having a good time for like 2.5 minutes before the brother just gets away in a gun dump. You don't really think about the fact that this is probably the moment his brother died until you see the brother like run into the house where he's not standing, and you're like, something's gonna happen to that house. Wow, it's gone.
It doesn't even really give you that much time. It's pretty much, it cuts to him at the doorway and then poof, he's dead.
Yeah.
And it's not like you see them dead or anything, just his entire fucking house is gone.
Yeah, it just wiped off in like 5 frames.
Fun fact, the Gun Devil moves so fast that flesh falls off of it when it's moving. I thought that was weird.
That is weird. But yeah, so this is why Aki wants to kill the Gun Devil, is because it obliterated his brother.
There's the Gun Devil flesh. Wow.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of parts. They're kind of like, they're just kind of shaped like fleshy bullets, but apparently they clump together, and if you find enough of them, then it will get big enough that it should start leading you to the Gun Devil, which is how they hope to find and kill the Gun Devil. They work like Shikon jewel fragments from Inuyasha, which is to say if a demon eats them, it gets powered up.
Right.
So, yeah, they're also a good thing to have because you can power scale with them.
So begin the Gun Devil flesh hunting arc.
Yes, and even as a micro aside of that, I would say the first like sort of small arc in like the traditional shonen arcs where it's like we're fighting this one bad guy for so many chapters. The first time we get that is here in episode 5 when our heroes. Power, Denji, Aki, and the rest of their division.
Kobeni, Himeno, and Arai.
Yes. They all go into this hotel building, I guess it is.
They're on vacation.
Not a big nondescript building that they've heard people keep going missing in. They're not on vacation. People are going missing in this hotel.
This isn't the beach episode?
No.
Do you think there's gonna be a beach episode?
I don't remember if there's any beach in the manga. They could add one in. Highly disagree that this is the best arc in the series, also, to another person. Anyways, they go into this building. On their way in, they're having this little conversation where, the other people don't really trust Power and Denji, but look at them together. There's this shot where she's got, like, her chin on his shoulder, and
they're adorable.
Again, brother-sister energy, almost couple energy, but not quite because they're too weird and youthful, I guess. But like, so since the time that I read Chainsaw Man, I consider myself a fan, so I've been following the output of like fan content. There is so much artwork of these two, like,
oh yeah,
way beyond. It's either Makima just being Makima, hot, captivating, whatever you see in her, or these two just like chilling, being ultimate bros. I would describe it as a Gon and Killua relationship.
Yeah. That's really
very
good.
Gon and Killua, but aged up a little.
And then Aki's Leorio.
Yeah, sure.
But so as they're walking,
he's more of a Kurapika, if we're being honest.
Sure, you're right. Yeah.
And all. Yeah.
Well, then who would Leorio be? Kobeni is Leorio. She does.
Sure.
She can't really do anything.
We don't need to stretch this metaphor.
Okay. Anyway, so as they're walking up to the hotel, Denji and Power's motives are questioned, and Himeno basically goes, "You don't need to question their motives. Whoever kills this demon is going to get a big kiss from me." Himeno, eye patch girl, best girl.
He says, having a reward is motivating. She's trying to swoo Kobeni in one.
Well, and she's also trying to convince Arai and Kobeni to not be so scared about what they're walking into. And then Denji, just getting off of his boob grab with Makima, is very cool, and he's like, I don't need a kiss until I kill the gun devil. And then Himeno goes, what about with tongue?
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'll kill that demon.
Yep, he's in right away. So this is when we start learning about Himeno's backstory. She has lost a lot of partners.
Yeah.
I don't know how she's made it so far. I mean, as you can see in this screen cap, she's like at the funeral of her last partner with a cast on her arm. She's got an eye missing.
So the cast was probably an injury. The eye is not. I mean, it's an injury, but it's not caused by fighting. We'll get to that. We will learn
about that, yeah. So she gets a new partner, and that's Aki. They storm this hotel, and
there's a weird little head running around.
Yeah,
what
like
a silly little fella.
Thing style like head guy is, and Power immediately just cuts it in half. Kobeni's fucking terrified. She's gonna pretty much stay that way for a while.
Her whole tenure on the show that I've seen, yeah.
They basically just kill this little fiend, and they're like, well, that was easy. Is there more? Like, what's going on? What are we looking for here? Also, even though Power had cut it in half, actually the reason she was able to do that, it's revealed, is that Himeno had grabbed it with her ghost hand.
Ghost hand!
So yeah, the reason she's missing her eye is that she made a contract with the ghost devil, and so she can fucking use a ghost hand. She strangles Power with it, because she's like, fuck you.
It's a pretty cool power. So then they're like, alright, let's find the real devil of this hotel, and they try to go up the stairs.
We're in an infinity loop. We're in one of those...
We're in a liminal space.
Yes, they're in the back rooms. Turns out we're trapped in the back rooms. That is pretty much what the horror of this arc is. It's like the hotel, if you go through the windows, you just end up back in the room on the other side. It's all identical rooms. Kind of reminds me of the Library of Babel a little. Just a generic hell of interchangeable rooms.
So everyone's immediately freaking out, and Denji's like, why are you all freaking out? We have a free hotel stay. Time's not going to change. Yeah. I'm going to take a nap. And then he takes a nap. And then when he wakes up, everyone's gone but Himeno, and Himeno's like, yeah, everyone's freaking out. I don't know why you went to sleep. Aki's just been pacing back and forth up and down the hallways. Arai's asleep in a room somewhere. Kobeni's just having one.
Well, this is before we get to that point.
Oh,
Kobeni
right.
explains that the reason she is doing this, she has like 8 siblings or something.
No, she has one sibling, but that sibling is going to a really expensive college.
No, it's mentioned later that she has like 8 siblings.
I see.
And one of them is going to college, but like she's working to promote that one sibling going to college. She can't go to college because she's just like another in the endless chain of children that this family has had. Her only options apparently were prostitution or devil hunting, and she didn't
which
want
is
to do
a hell of a 2 options to give a child.
Yeah.
But I guess when you get up to having 8 of them, it's like, that one can do whatever.
But yeah, like you said, Denji just passes right out because he says, "Look at this nice bed. Like, I'm not going to waste this opportunity."
He does look super comfortable.
I totally relate to this. Like, we travel a lot, so sometimes we sleep in the car, sometimes we sleep in a tent, sometimes we sleep at a hotel, sometimes you hit a bed just right and you're like, oh my god, I haven't slept on a bed this comfortable in like a week. This is gonna be amazing.
That was kind of how I felt after we got the camping pads we have. Just sleeping on those for the first time after sleeping on the ground.
Kobeni went a little crazy and tried to drink water from a toilet, so she was knocked out. That is why she is currently incapacitated. So there's a scene where they're talking about the smoking because, oh my god, her name. It's like
Himeno.
I think the trauma has like blanked out her name. We'll get to why that is. She's a big time smoker. And
a joker.
She's always got a cigarette. She has convinced Aki to smoke, and apparently he makes some kind of deal with her at some point that like she will only smoke with him or something.
I don't.
He says something to that effect. But anyway,
I see. Well, he smokes without her all of the goddamn time, so I don't know.
Her stance on smoking is that it's nice being dependent on something. I thought this
was
how she keeps her cool. Take.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of people try to justify like the bad thing that they do that way, especially like calling it a dependency and being like, I like being dependent.
Well, it's not just that she likes being dependent; it's also that she is a devil hunter and she knows she's not going to live too long.
That's true. That's a big part of this arc as well, is just reminding us that like these people die really easily. I relate to this sentiment, so I wanted to capture this moment. Just like, I'm somebody who always tries to avoid like overdoing anything, but at the same time, like, I spent a very long time, for instance, drinking Mountain Dew religiously for like 13 years. And it was that sense of like, I know this is bad. I know it's going to probably eventually have real health risks for me. But it's like one constant thing I always understood that was present and ready for me, That's
how I feel about black coffee.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as, say, Mountain Dew is, but I growing up, I drank a concerning amount of black coffee. I would have like 2 pots of coffee every day of high school. And now, I don't know, this is my first I'm having a cup of coffee now for the first time in like, I don't know, 4 days.
It's like a feeling of like, hey, maybe nothing good will happen today, but at least I'll have a cigarette.
Yeah, at least I'll have a cup of coffee.
I'll enjoy the cigarette, I think that's kind of where she's coming from.
Honestly, sometimes I feel that way about like a cold glass of water.
It could be anything, honestly. Everyone's dependent on water. Himeno, at some point, lost a partner, and the woman, I guess, who was dating that partner of hers, finds her in the street, slaps her in the face, is just like, fuck you, you got my husband killed. Aki follows that woman and secretly sticks some gum to her clothes. He's very proud to announce. Yeah. It'll be frustrating, and she won't even know about it.
Until she tries to wash it or something.
Himeno just bursts out laughing at this very juvenile and innocent...
I didn't understand the end game of this one either.
It's just easy revenge. That's a theme that's gonna come back for us. But yeah, he took very easy revenge on that woman.
Oh! I had not caught that.
I don't know if he says that phrase or not, but he might. It's definitely called back to. Another thing that's called back to a lot throughout this arc is that Himeno explains that devils, they do not fear the demon hunters who are the strongest or the best. They fear the craziest ones. And I love this. I think this more or less applies to real life as well. Like, people who are predictable are always less scary than people who are unpredictable, because you never know what's going to happen. We're going to see what that means as the characters just get crazier in order to deal with stronger devils. And there's lots of just like cute romantic sort of banter between Aki and Himeno.
There's a whole flashback sequence to Himeno trying to get Aki to smoke, and he's like, smoking corrodes your bones, I would never do that. She explains it. Eventually he has a cigarette, and then he's still like, it corrodes your bones though. I'm smoking, but it still corrodes your bones. And then it cuts to them back in the hotel, and
fucking bones,
and it's just Aki walking in and going, hey, you get a cigarette? I could use a cigarette. And then there's a cute little scene where Himeno gives Aki her cigarette.
The one that she is currently smoking.
Which is the last one.
To Denji is an indirect kiss.
Oh, you're right.
Upsetting.
That was a kiss! Denji's so funny. He didn't kill the demon. Aki walks in and basically goes, hey, so bad news and bad news. We're still not out of here. And we killed a demon, right? It's getting bigger. So they all run out into the hallway. And
it's growing like The Thing. It's very The Thing-esque, the stuff that's going on.
That's probably Kobeni seeing the demon.
She's saying get eaten, because the demon, it grows, and it says to them, just feed me Denji, and I'll let the rest of you go. Probably not even true.
And they use but they use the word contract.
Oh yeah, that's right. If it's a contract, Denji also says probably not true, and then they say, no, that's not how it works with devils. If they contract, they have to do it,
or they die.
Yeah, so it's really serious. It really.
I wonder if humans die if they don't hold up their end. I probably.
Kobeni's response to that is, "Get eaten. Please die for us immediately."
This episode is titled "Kill Denji."
So this is a very clever ploy by
the Eternity Devil.
By Fujimoto, to make us think that Kobeni is worst girl. That is the trick. This whole arc is meant to convince you slyly that she is worst girl, so that convention can be flipped on its head later.
Kobeni apologists be like, no, bro, just let her stab you. It's okay.
Trust. Let her cook.
Let her cook. She does have a kitchen knife.
Power is also willing to throw Denji away, but because she wants to...
She has come up with... Well, actually, this isn't...
She hasn't come up with what it is yet.
She's come up with the idea to have a Nobel Prize. And once she does that, she'll become the leader of the world.
So
Wait, hang on.
I had assumed she meant like a competitor to the Nobel Prize, but she means like a new...
No, she's going to get a Nobel Prize.
No, I think she means like how there's the Nobel in literature and the Nobel in science. She wants to like create a new category of a Nobel Prize. That's the impression I got.
That could be it. I think it's that she wants to win a Nobel Prize through something.
Okay.
Gain power in government, and then she says, to increase misery, quote, I will start by increasing taxes to 100%. Or sales tax.
Yeah, she plans to increase taxes. She literally says, throw Denji away so we can get out of here so I can start making my Nobel Prize. And then right after that, they basically resolve we're not going to kill Denji. And then she goes, well, you want to sumo wrestle? And he's like, not after you just said to kill me. Fuck you. I don't want to sumo with you.
It is really funny immediately after that. And there's a lot of moments with Power like this, and she just goes, well, I'm bored now. Want to sumo wrestle?
Yeah. But yes, we reveal that it is the Eternity Devil. He has him in there forever, I guess.
It's the fear of forever?
Fear of being stuck fucking in the same situation for the rest of your life, I guess.
I like how, some of the devils in this are as simple as bats. And then this one is the concept of eternity.
Yeah. No, it's a big leap. I mean, there's a lot of... I love the conceptual devils. Those are always my favorite.
I do too.
I'm like, how are they going to realize this power? It's very JoJo in that regards, where you're like, what's that going to do?
My favorite conceptual one is Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's way later.
I know.
We can't even talk about that at all.
I'm just saying that.
Not even in this season. Kobeni tries to assassinate Denji, and Aki literally takes the blade in the side, has his hand on her face to keep her away from Denji, and this is a man who
hates Denji. Hated
4 episodes ago got kicked in the balls 6 consecutive times by Denji.
After trying to beat the hell out of him.
Yes. And now he is willing to take a knife for him, specifically because...
he wants to kill the Gun Devil.
Yes, and they are Gun Devil killing bros.
Right after this happens, Himeno, I think, says to Power, hey, can you fix that wound? And Power goes... I can pretty much only manipulate my own blood. Other people's is hard. And then she just immediately fixes the wound. So I'm kind of inclined to believe Power just doesn't want to.
She was being lazy.
And then Denji, after they're like, we're all going to starve, how long has it been? 3 days, is like, fuck it. I'll get eaten. But I'm not going down without a fight.
I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to fuck with this guy. Let's see what happens. The strat he uses is incredible. And
it is also implied by, said explicitly by the Eternity Devil, you can't kill me. This is my stomach. My heart is somewhere else.
Right, yes. You cannot kill me where I am. Well...
So Denji spends 4 days cutting and eating the Eternity Devil because he learns as long as he consumes blood, he can just keep hacking and slashing, ripping and tearing.
He is a perpetual motion machine. He declares
that is he's like, I should get a Nobel Prize. And then at one point, right after this whole perpetual motion machine starts, he goes, well, fine. If you're not going to show me where your heart is, I'll just give you so much pain that you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, so that's literally how he beats the Eternity Demon, is by just not stopping, ruthlessly cutting at him and causing him pain until he can't fucking take it.
I think in response to this, Himeno or Power goes, now he's thinking like a devil or something like that.
This is probably my favorite, because in the first episode you had the long ass zombie fight scene, and while it was it's fun in how overindulgent it is, it wasn't that conceptually interesting, even compared to the Devilman start, in my opinion. This is great, because there's a reason for him to just keep going, just keep cutting, just keep it's almost exhausting.
We also get a call back to it's not the strongest or whatever.
The craziest.
It's the craziest that the devils fear.
Yeah.
As this is going on. Because the whole time Denji's just maniacally laughing.
It's
which
his
is
willingness to just keep going, the fact that he wouldn't stop, and he's having fun the whole time. 4 days in, he's like, I'm just fucking getting started, we could do this forever. And here's more flashbacks of Himeno being like, Aki will definitely die if we fight the Gun Devil. But now that she's watching Chainsaw in this moment, she's like, maybe this guy could possibly do something. After all, he does get the Eternity Devil to offer up its heart and say, please kill me. And then they all walk out, drained and
they all lived.
Dejected.
Yay.
Everybody lived. But Kobeni and Akai, I think is his name? Arai are immediately traumatized by their
thinking
own
about quitting
decisions. Like the fact that they almost offered up Denji's life and then were saved by him. But yeah, I think this is a solid arc, and it's one that I thought worked actually better in the anime than in the manga, just because of the ambiance. And I even remember when I was reading the manga thinking, I think this will be better in anime because you'll feel more like connected to the environment when it has color and it has all the detail, and that was exactly what it was like. It felt, I guess I could feel the way the characters were feeling more closely in the anime than I could in the manga. It could also be that I was more patient with it because I knew how it ended, and I love the ending of the arc. Up to that point, it is a little bit generic. Like, the idea of trapping everybody in a bottle universe and they go crazy, I've kind of seen it before. But, the way that it wraps up and the implications that the characters' actions in the scene have for later on all sets us up for really good stuff, So I was definitely more excited watching it than I had been reading it the first time. Have any wrap-up thoughts on that? The little Eternity arc? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was solid.
Cute. So basically, they decide they're gonna build some bonds and solve some of their problems as a group. They're, the group, they've made it out of this predicament, but they're not exactly rock solid.
Drunk.
Yeah, it's time to have a party. It's time to have a big company party.
And so Aki only agrees to it if Makima can come.
Yeah, she shows up late as shit,
yeah.
as she would. But yeah, so you've got our whole division, everybody who was in the previous thing, and then 3 or 4 other people who we very rarely see, who are just kind of background characters I didn't bother learning the names of.
Yeah, well, they won't be important.
No, they will not. I mean, this whole scene is basically just these characters talking about how easily they will die. Kobeni's never had food this good at the restaurant that they're at. It's just a pretty standard bar with food type establishment in Japan, but
Power keeps taking all the food.
Yeah, Power keeps eating everything and being
this is all mine.
All the sashimi. But yeah, this other woman who we don't know, no one who started around when I did is still alive. So yeah, it's not looking good out there for the Devil Hunters.
Maybe they just didn't want to be around anymore.
When Makima finally shows up, everyone's asking her for information, and she's like, only if you can drink me under the table.
Well, basically the question is, what do you know about Denji that we don't?
Right, what makes him special? And she's like, if you can outdrink me. So yeah, Makima, she drinks everybody under the table. We're not probably going to learn for a while why I have a theory as to why she can do this, and it's the same reason she can do other things that she can do that we'll learn about later, but it's a spoiler to get into it. But I think that's why she can drink an eternal amount. There's an argument over IQ at this table.
Right. Power thinks she has a really high IQ, and so someone asks her, oh, really, what's your IQ? And she goes, 100? And then the person who asked her goes, oh, I think I have 100 IQ. And so Power goes, oh, I meant 120. Yeah. And then someone goes, oh, well, that person has 134. And so Power goes, 200.
Yeah, she's like an auction or something, raising the stats on her IQ every time. Cute scene. Then, yeah, she gets so drunk that she just...
Well, so she kisses Genji. She says earlier in the night that you'll get your kiss once...
Wait, what's her name again?
Himeno.
Oh, God, really? That's such a hard name for me. I don't know why.
So anyway, Himeno earlier in the night says to Denji.
Not an Overwatch
says to
character.
Denji, you'll get your kiss when I'm drunker. I can't do it while I'm sober. So after the drinking contest with Makima... Denji's just thinking I can't get kissed in front of Makima, and then Himeno just goes for it. She kisses him with tongue and everything. They're making out, It's pretty nice. And then her tongue is melting inside of his mouth, and then it's not her tongue. It's vomit.
No, she vomits directly into his mouth. Fucking hilarious. This is another thing like the tit grabbing
Very well
scene.
animated vomit, I would say. I mean, it was censored, but it was disgusting. I couldn't eat after that.
It's another one of those adolescent warning moments that it's like, if you build up the idea of your first kiss, I'm warning you that it may be memorable in the wrong way. And the more importance you've put on it, the more horrifying it's going to be if it goes as wrongly as it possibly can, such as you being vomited inside the mouth of. Not pleasant. But yeah, that's a hilarious scene. I love it. Kind of reminds me, there's a scene in, I think, Detroit Metal City where Krauser, like, spits a giant loogie into someone's face. It's fucking hilarious. Similar vibe. But later on that night, so Denji ends up getting so drunk that Himeno actually carries him to her place. Wait, he wasn't drinking, right?
No.
Why did he just passed out
tired,
from being
dog.
a baby?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. She
At
drags
one point
him
during
home.
the dinner, Himeno is like, "Wait, how old are you?" And he goes,
Yeah.
16, I think.
Yeah, she's like, "You're not drinking, are you?" He's like, "It's soda." But yeah, so she takes him home, basically
Straddles him.
Yeah, straddles him and is like,
Kisses beer into his mouth.
"Yuri, I'm gonna fuck you." And he's like, "I'm not so sure about that."
They do spend a lot of time on this whole scene. It's like
because it's episode 7 ends with her mounting him, and then episode 8 opens with her on top of him going, "Do you want to fuck?"
It goes back. Like it does.
Oh yeah, it
her
like
recap
zooms back
of the
in
night.
time to like make sure you get to watch her go through her whole apartment before she leads up to deciding she wants to try to fuck him. But he remembers this. So basically, after he had his first kiss ruined, Makima does what she does best and fixes it by replacing that with the taste of a sucker that she was just sucking on into his mouth. Another indirect kiss, but this one much more sensual, much more special. He's still got the sucker on him, and after
It is
remembering
funny.
that,
When Himeno like digs through his pockets, she finds the lollipop and is like, "Oh, one of these? Gross."
yeah. But yeah, he ends up sleeping on the floor. She's all spread eagle on the bed, looking quite nice.
Yeah, Himeno is best girl.
Himeno's hot. She may be the town bike, but that doesn't mean wouldn't take a ride. So the next morning, there's this nice scene where they're on the patio. It's in like the afterglow. Even though they didn't fuck, it still has that like we fucked last night kind of vibe to it. But
They might as well have. Denji's never even like slept in the same bed as a woman, so I guess
true.
he still hasn't. He slept on the ground.
That's true. They make an agreement very similar to Toradora for the people who've seen that, where he says, "I'm going to help you get together with Aki, you help me get together with Makima."
I missed this part. That's cute.
Yeah, they're going to help each other get with the people that they like because they,
Because they're
didn't
boys.
have the
Or
chemistry
they're
together.
one of bros. They're bros being bros.
And then we cut immediately to Makima getting fucking brained on a train.
Yeah, Makima and her 2 bodyguards.
Everybody on the train. Like,
no, it wasn't everybody.
yeah, the train car. Like, everyone in her car is just, like, swept through and assassinated.
I see.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's an
How did this
interesting
make
start
you
to an
feel as
episode.
someone who hasn't read the manga?
Well, immediately it's like, well, Makima's not dead. Just,
Right.
I mean...
That was my feeling in the manga as well. I was like, well, there's gotta be a reason. It's so... It's actually so unambiguous and sudden that it can't possibly be true.
Yeah.
Like, because normally the rule is, like, if it happens off screen, it doesn't count. It happens very on screen. But...
Well, it's too much on screen.
It's too on screen, it's too sudden. It doesn't make enough sense in the narrative because it feels like there's so much unexplored with Makima. It's hard to truly buy into it, but you do watch like 20 other people get gunned down with her, so it's kind of like
including Arai and all of the people we met.
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry. Yeah. There's so you said the scene was like a scene from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, there's a scene in Breaking Bad where Walter White has to kill the previous employees of Gustavo Fring's drug empire, who are all now in prison, and he's paying off still. So he kills them all in the span of like 2 minutes.
It's
in
set
10
to,
different prisons, and it's set to music, and it's
all soundless and stuff like this.
Oh, no, it's not soundless.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's set to music and you hear the screams.
Okay.
But it is very reminiscent, or rather, this scene is very reminiscent of that. This scene, it's guns, of course, but you're not going to get a gun in a prison.
No, but this basically, you just get like a montage of pretty much anybody who doesn't seem like an important character getting gunned down in the streets by random people who've been employed by the Gun Devil. Pretty shocking, pretty cool stuff. And then the Katana Devil shows up right after that.
It is worth mentioning this is not the Katana Devil. This is the grandson of the Yakuza boss that Denji was working for, who has merged with the Katana Devil like Denji is merged with Chainsaw.
Okay, yeah, so he's a similar... That's why they have the same type of body thing going on. Okay, that makes sense.
You've read the manga. Do any other like hybrids like this show up again, or is it pretty much just these two?
I do believe there are more.
Cool.
But yeah, so Katana Devil, he's the Yakuza boss's grandson, and his granddad took him to fancy places with really good food when he was young, and he basically sees Denji as like uncultured swine that killed his granddad for no reason, and he needs to fucking die about it.
Yeah. He doesn't totally explain all of this. He kind of just shoots Denji in the head at first.
Yeah, and then gets into a big fight with Aki. But here he is all fucking transformed out. Denji is pretty much out of capacity for this bit because he's like immediately brained at the start of the fight.
Aki, I forgot to mention, that big Naruto fox that showed up, that's the Fox Devil. Aki has a contract with the Fox Devil that it can eat a bit of his arm or something, and he can summon it. So Aki summons the Fox Devil to eat this guy, and then Katana Devil cuts the Fox Devil in half. And so that doesn't work out. In the hotel arc, a couple times Aki alludes to using the sword. And Himeno basically says, nope, you're not allowed to do that. You cannot use the sword. If that's not happening, Denji's going to die. We learn why that's important. I think
Aki's going to die. Like, she's worried that Aki will die if he uses the
Yes,
sword.
I'm sorry.
So he uses the sword in this fight against the Katana Devil. And
so it's a sword from the Cursed Devil, and basically he has to point the sword at whatever he wants to stab it with, say a word, and then the Cursed Devil flicks the sword at the person.
Yeah, it's like a pin almost, and it like flicks it through their body,
and I think
counts to 3. Counts down from 3, and then it puts a curse on the other person, which has a crazy
then the Cursed Devil
visual.
Just like bites him and tries to kill him or something, and it almost works.
It looks really cool. I'm very happy with this segment because it's the first time we've had like a hard break from reality like moment. Like, I mean, it just kind of goes to dark, and then like a creature comes out. It's kind of like a summon from an RPG or something. Like, just a moment where it seems like we've gone into a parallel universe for this guy to be like cursed for a moment. And there's going to be a lot more shit like that as Chainsaw Man goes on, so it's important that it looks cool, and it does. All the CG in this show is very, very well done. Very well integrated.
So he killed someone back there.
Aki is getting fucking chopped open by the Katana Devil.
Okay.
They have a big fight. Aki curses Katana, but it's not enough to beat him, and ultimately he fucking cuts Aki up. So then Himeno steps in
and basically asks the Ghost Devil, "Hey, help!" And the Ghost Devil says, "Not on your life." And then Himeno says, "Bet, I'll give you my life." And then the Ghost Devil shows up, and Himeno is slowly disappearing, and it's really sad, and it sucks.
Yeah, the Ghost Devil is just crazy. It's like a giant face on a giant neck covered in flowers, and then a bunch of hands for legs that come out of the base of the neck. Weird looking fucking monster.
So the Ghost Devil shows up and is kind of doing work, and then this weird girl in a red...
I have a screen cap of Himeno disappearing, which is a really cool sequence. It looked cool in the manga too, but it's like, her body's really being like...
It's like
whisked around.
Away.
Yeah, like her arm just goes like, and then her shirt's all flapping in the wind. It looks really cool in animation.
It's depressing as hell.
Yeah, it hits.
And then, so right as the Ghost Devil's doing work, a girl in a red hoodie shows up and says, "Swallow it whole." and eats the Ghost Devil.
A giant
Or a giant snake shows up and eats
like,
the Ghost Devil.
If the Ghost Devil's already a pretty large devil. The Snake Devil looks fucking, like...
massive.
Kaiju-sized, comparatively. And it just snaps this thing's fucking head off right away. So, the second Himeno has made her sacrifice, it is instantly undone, by all appearances.
Didn't even have to do it.
Pretty grim, pretty dark, pretty sad. But... at the last second, one of the ghost's arms floats over and
pulls Denji's pull string
Yes.
chainsaw start. We haven't mentioned that either. The way Denji turns into a chainsaw man is the only thing that really shows that he is part devil. Is he's got like a pull cord,
yeah.
a ripcord hanging out of his chest. It has been shown to be able to revive him multiple times at this point. Himeno also used it in the hotel arc when he was losing steam. But yeah, if he passes out and he has enough blood, just pull the cord and he'll be fine.
I'm curious. So somebody in the chat said Himeno's death did nothing for them. Completely wasted character.
I agree.
You feel that way too?
Yeah. I wish she stuck around for longer. She was a good character. I think she was wasted.
I do think she ends up feeling a little bit like a plot device in the fact that she shows up and at first she's mostly there to characterize Aki. And then she's kind of there to further Denji. And then she's gone. But at the same... on the flip side of the token, her point was that, these people just die. One of those... a whole lot of them died just now, but hers is the only one that kind of has any weight to it, because it's a character you kind of like, you kind of feel something for. It sucks that she's dead. I would say, I don't feel like it hits me heavy, only because the show was preparing you for it. It's like, look, this is what happens. They die. It's kind of what she's stuck on. All her partners have died. She's just a very tragic character. She kind of just seems to be throwing herself... oh no, our stream's gonna end.
Denji has just been revived.
Yes. Just like our stream, Denji has been brought back to life after having his ripcord pulled by Ghost's hand. And he's ready to fucking jump in. And he's like, I love bad guys. Because nobody cares if I kick their ass. I'm cool. Katana Devil's like... so he's got random people with him who were working for the Gun Devil. I find it really interesting, I guess, symbolically, to think about how, like, the Katana Devil is not only subservient to the Gun Devil, but, like, clearly thinks guns are the answer, because he starts off by shooting Denji in the head, and then he's got these, like, gun people who he's telling to aim for the arms or the heart. They don't really, like, comment on it or anything. I just think it's interesting that, the guy who's, like, the ultimate master of the Japanese blade, totally subservient to guns.
Well, this guy can't have been the Katana Devil for that long.
No, probably not.
The character is only doing it because Denji killed his grandpa.
Maybe he's poisoned the Katana Devil's, will with all this gun worship that he's doing, but... we have a scene where Makima gets off the train.
She's fine.
Perfectly fine. She gets escorted around by this pair of characters who I did not bother to learn their names because they're very boring, but they are around for a few episodes of, like, they both have a scar on their face.
They might come back.
They just kind of are around. They're very reactive. Like, they're just kind of there to figure out what's going on in the plot and, like, be a bounce board for other characters to have interactions with. Starting with Makima, who's like... the lunch meeting is canceled.
Clean up some bodies. It is interesting at one point, Makima implies to these two that they might have to stay with her to help with stuff, and they're like, no, we're leaving. We're going back. We're just gonna leave.
Well, because they're about to find out that, like, everybody died. But Makima's gonna get some revenge about that.
Yeah.
This scene...
is pretty messed up. So,
it's insane.
Right when she gets off the train, Makima says, okay, clean up the bodies, rent me the nearest temple with the highest altitude, and get me at least 30 convicts with life sentences or worse.
Yeah.
And then this begins. Akane is the girl who is in charge of the Snake Devil.
Yes, this is the blonde girl who turned up and killed Ghost, and, she seems fairly threatening. Somebody was asking, I never really understood what the deal with her was in the chat. We never really learn what the deal with her is.
No. I think she's just working for the Gun Devil.
One of the people who's there. This battle they've had, it was pretty hard fought. Himeno died Aki's fucked up. Denji's fucked up. They're feeling pretty confident. And then all their people just start exploding, like in the most gruesome, fucked, gory.
It's not even like they're exploding. Their nose starts bleeding, and then it's like they're being crushed into nothing.
But like from both sides, like hands are crushing them from top and bottom.
And as this is happening, it cuts to Makima, who's making a bunch of weird hand signals, and prisoners are not being crushed the way that these people are dying, but they are still dying.
Yeah. She says to them, she'll go to each prisoner who's tied up in like a ceremonial gown with their eyes closed, say the name Takashi Inoue or something. She's like, say this name, and then she makes the prisoner die and that person explode into a gory balloon. So she just starts wiping out the whole fucking enemy team. Anybody who she knows who they are, they're going down. Also, Kobeni shows up.
Oh, right, she actually does some cool stuff.
And she is now a badass. She's like running on monster fucking snakes and shit, knife fighting people. Basically, when the old lady turned up with the gun to try to kill her and her friend, she stabbed that bitch in the neck. And she went full tilt crazy, starts defending herself, becomes a real character around this point. Not necessarily best girl, but definitely a great girl. There's also this dude, Madoka, who they say his name, but he hasn't done anything important yet.
His name's Madoka?
Madoka, yeah.
That's a pretty magica name.
It is pretty magica. He says everyone's pretty much dead except for the non-humans, and I'm fucking off. I'm pretty sure you knew more about this Makima, and she's like, well, I can't tell you anything, because you
quit. Right, he quits. Yeah. And then, that's pretty good. Oh, right, so Aki, he's in the hospital. He asks his cursed devil sword, how much time do I have left? Because every time he uses it, he gets less time. It's not really explained how much less time, but he has 2 years left to live. So, in his mind, 2 years left to kill the gun devil.
Birthday Fruitcake in the chat, who said, what's the point of Chainsaw Man to begin with, though? The gore and violence hardcore? That's definitely what makes it fun, but if I had to say what the core of it is, it's about how far you are willing to go for just the most basic, like, survival. Like as a human, we are so driven, so compelled towards making our lives better that we will suffer like just the non-stop onslaught of grimness and even just become numb to it and kind of accepting of it in the process of trying to achieve anything, just like anything at all that you possibly could, such as getting to touch a boob. So yeah, that's what I'd say is generally the appeal of it. But also it's just got crazy powers and fights and fucking insane action and all that kind of shit.
There's only one power.
Yeah. There she is. And so in this scene, Denji is reflecting on the fact that basically he's outside the hotel room and he realizes that, hospital room, realizes Aki's all sad about Himeno dying, and he's like, why don't I feel sad about Himeno dying? She was like my first real friend. Like, she wanted to be friends with me. We made out and all this stuff. Like, why am I not like upset? Would I be upset if Power died? Probably not. Would I even be upset if Makima died? I'd probably get over it in like 3 days. Am I a psychopath? Like, did I lose my heart? That's where he's at. He's literally like, why don't I seem to feel? I get it. Sometimes you're just so desensitized and blanketed and just not even, you're so disconnected from the thought of things being good that it's not even phasing you when things are more bad than normal, Mike Hunt said, Trixie just described working retail, becoming numb to save money. Yeah, well,
that's a pretty good description of what Denji's doing.
Yeah. So, this is when we get introduced to the sensei.
I don't know his name. I don't think we ever really...
It's on the next screen. Hold on, I got you. His name is Kishibe.
Oh, this guy, he's a JoJo character. Kishibe Rohan.
Sure. So, Kishibe shows up, and he's like the most badass devil hunter. He's killed lots of devils, and he's here to basically he like asks a few questions of Power and Denji, like, how did you feel about your friends dying? Do you want revenge? And they're kind of like, nah, that's depressing, I don't want to do all that. He's like, perfect, I'm gonna train you up. So he just starts murdering them.
Pretty gruesomely too. Like, I mean, he just chokes them.
Yes.
And then he kind of lets off for a second. And then after letting off for a second, he just kind of stabs Denji through the fucking head.
Yeah.
Um,
This is kind of similar to the Eternity arc in a sense of that it's about like having to grind through the same thing over and over again to an extent it's maddening. But it's basically Kishibe doing to Denji what he did to the Eternity Devil. Like, I'm just gonna keep murdering you until you fucking learn. Yeah. In this, there's a moment where Power's like on top of him at the end of the night, like trying to wake him up because he just hasn't gotten back up yet. You know, he can't die, so he keeps being. Both of them keep being brought back to life by blood bags. Like, the guy just feeds them some blood and brings them back.
She just punches him in the face and he wakes up, right?
Well, she's just like, why aren't you awake yet? And he's like, just out of it. 'Cause he's like, how many times did I get killed today? And she's like, at least 20. So, you know, it's sort of like a mind break training, but it's because the two of them are sort of in it together that they start bonding even harder and being like, you know, we're going to overcome this. Fuck that guy. We're going to figure out how to beat his ass.
And they decide the way they have to beat him is by being smart.
Yes, they have to outsmart him because that's what their specialty is.
I believe when this was announced in the show, my reaction to them going, "Oh, we're gonna be so smart, we're gonna outsmart this guy," is like, wow, the two dumbest characters in any show I've ever seen think, no, we just have to be smart about it.
Yeah, well, he's impressed to an extent. He's like, there's a line he says here where he says, I guess prey will use its head when it's cornered. I thought that was interesting because it suggests that he didn't know this because he's used to killing his prey so quickly it doesn't even have a chance to start thinking. He's surprised that they've gotten to that point, you know. They're growing.
Oh, I feel comfortable saying this because it's not really revealed, even I don't think in the manga. Kishibe has a contract with the Kishibe has a contract with the needle, knife, and claw devils.
Huh.
Doesn't say what that does for him, or what it did to him, but...
Alright, Ellen in the chat saying, I like that part where he fakes them out by pretending the training is done for the day and attacking them because they let their guard down. That is in this scene.
That was pretty good.
I don't know if I screen capped that, but yeah, he like pretends it's over and then throws a knife into Denji's head. He's like, don't trust anything, which is important.
Don't trust anything a hunter says.
Yes, don't trust anything a hunter says, which is important for Denji to remember. But yeah, I love that whole, you know, just death over and over again type thing. It's Chainsaw Man has a lot of moments where I sit and go like, I wish I had written that, and not in a sense of like, oh, I could have written something as good as Chainsaw Man, but like the kind of ideas like, what if my main character gets murdered 800 times in the process of like trying to learn something? It's something I would have written if I had written, you know. It just makes me jealous of people who do things. Anyways, so Aki, meanwhile, is taken by the Scarface twins. I don't know if they're related. They just seem like twins. But they're like, you're going to make a deal with an even stronger devil.
Actually,
we're setting you up.
What they say is, the Fox Devil's not going to work with you anymore because you fucked it over so bad by getting it cut in half. So, you need a new devil so that you can stay on top of this whole devil fighting thing. Yeah. And so they take him to the devil prison, and my favorite character is about to be introduced.
Yes, at the start of the next episode.
The future devil.
Future devil.
He is so vibey. This is the first scene you see of him. He's got his arms outstretched. He's got a big eye in the center. He's got antlers, and he goes, "The future rules." It's great. I love him.
I think it's like Mirai wa Saiko. Future is the best. He thinks the future's fucking awesome.
And then he starts like scatting. He's like bebopping around. He's having a good time.
So the expectation is Aki's gonna have to pay some crazy price to contract with this guy
because the previous people who had to contract with him lost like their eyes and their sense of taste and smell. Yeah. As well as a different one was like their I don't know, both of their arms or something.
But turns out he's willing to just hang out inside of his eye. Give him the powers because his death in the future will fucking rule.
Again, this guy is the best devil. He is so much fun.
He's really good. So then Kishibe is like, you guys have done it. You've done well enough. We need to deal with that snake lady and the samurai sword man. They are still alive. They're still out there. We gotta fucking take care of them. You guys are trained up enough. Let's do it. Time for a big raid.
Let's do it.
And meanwhile, there's an interesting bit where Makima visits like all the big Yakuza families. And
No,
she's
it's just
like,
a big Yakuza family.
Okay,
This is one specific
That's right.
family.
It's one guy, but she's got like all of his team there, and she's like, I need you to tell me everybody in your family and all the other families. I need you to tell me who has contracts with
the Gun Devil.
With the Gun Devil, because we got to weed all this shit out. And he's like, if you make me mess with other people, it's going to fuck up the balance of everything we do
They're
here.
all going to try and kill me.
Yeah, she's like, I will kill you.
Yeah,
so
she basically goes,
it.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
see this brown paper bag here?
Oh, yeah, I think I've got that screen cap. Hold on. Yes, their eyes. So, the brown paper... Tell me what's in the brown paper
So,
bag.
inside of the brown paper bag is, I think it's just an eye.
It's a pile of eyeballs.
No, I know. I just mean from
okay.
each person. So basically, she took an eye from one of a loved one of each person in the room.
Yes.
It's just collateral damage. And basically, she goes, hey, do what I'm saying, or no eyes.
Yeah.
We have
give them back.
We have someone who can put them back in. It's all fine, but gotta do what I say.
Pretty fucked. Pretty interesting tactic.
What is that?
That's the Shark Devil in mid-run.
Right, the Shark Fiend.
Right
I
there.
love this scene. This is great. The Shark Fiend is so much fun.
There's a big radical shift that's happening in Chainsaw Man right here, right? Like, we're really exiting the introductory arc and going into the next one. And I can't help but thinking that Fujimoto got bored with the cast he had going and just went, I'm going to change it.
Let's make some cool people show up.
Because, like, fucking half of the characters get murdered, and then immediately he introduces this new squad of 4, like, fiend fighters who are all, like, fun, quirky, cool, like, characters. Nothing like all those boring fucking Men in Black that got murdered at the end of the last arc. We're over that. Right? We're over the cool, suave era of Chainsaw Man.
That's not true. The Fiend after the Shark Fiend is pretty cool.
That's
and suave.
true. There's a
but the Shark Fiend is special because I don't remember all of it, but basically he can turn into his devil form while still in fiend form, which is special for devils or something. Oh, he can also swim on anything. Kind of like there's a character in JoJo who does that. I know his friend was Chocolat. I don't remember his name, though. Anyway, he swims around. He bites people. Oh, this guy's great. He's the... Oh, what fiend is he?
He's the Violence Fiend.
Yes, the Violence Fiend is great. He's such a gentleman. He's a nice guy. The mask he's wearing is constantly pumping poison gas onto him so that he does not become super strong. So I'd mentioned earlier that some fiends are just still really strong because whatever they are, the devil of is so feared. Violence Fiend is an example of this.
Yes, okay, that's right.
If he takes his mask off, he gets more powerful, I guess. Now, this is the Spider Devil.
Yep.
She's not actually a fiend, I don't think. They take the time to mention here that...
She's basically Chaos Bitch Kellogg's from Dark Souls.
Okay.
The spider lady.
Chaos Bitch Kellogg's.
Yeah.
It's not like the vacuous spider or anything.
No.
Is her name really Chaos Bitch Kellogg?
It's Chaos Witch Quelaag, but
okay,
close enough. And then this is the Angel.
The Angel
Devil.
Demon.
He's my favorite.
He's a cool guy.
What a walking contradiction. He's an angel, but if you touch him, you lose your lifespan. He's walking around eating a zombie head, I think.
That was the contradiction you went for? Don't you mean what a walking contradiction? The
Angel
Devil?
Well, yeah. But, also, if he touches you, you start dying. Aki's willing to get really close, and he's like, I can't believe you're even willing to stand this close to me. So he's like, I barely have a lifespan, dude.
Well, he didn't say, no. He said, well, look, there's a napkin dividing us. Who cares? You're not going to kill me.
Yeah, he's very brave. Makima, she got everything she wanted. There's a scene... It's a little actually confusing to me because Aki's like running through the Yakuza building, like taking guys out, and then like 4 guys who are in front of him just like all start nosebleeding and die. And then it cuts to Makima leaving the place where the other Yakuza guys are, but it's like
I wonder if she killed them.
Yeah, did she use them as sacrifices to kill those guys? Because they don't get smashed; they just die. I was a little confused about that part.
Oh, right. So Aki confronts Akane, Snake Girl, and
Yes.
she just summons Snake and says, "Spit it out." And the Ghost Devil shows up and starts kicking Aki's ass.
He's like, "Oh no, I wasn't prepared to fight my ex's spirit thing." But
so I don't really quite remember why the Ghost Devil stopped attacking him, but it stops attacking him.
It's because of fear. So the Ghost Devil can't see. It only responds to fear. And so as soon as he stops being afraid of it, it doesn't see him anymore. And he stops being afraid because he remembers something that Himeno had told him before. And so...
Well, no, the Ghost Devil gives him the cigarette.
Well, that's after. Like, after he has the vision, then, like, he opens his eyes, and it's just standing there holding this cigarette that says Easy Revenge on it. This is a very obvious Fooly Cooley reference. For anybody who doesn't remember the Never Knows Best cigarette,
You're not doing great at remembering people's names today.
It's always hard for me. The hardest part's the names. Mamimi, smokes in Fooly Cooley. That itself was a reference to, like, a magazine that the director had seen at some point. But this Chainsaw Man's creator has called this like Fooly Cooley. He's compared it to Fooly Cooley. I see a lot of comparisons, especially watching it again, knowing he said that, because they're both very much shows about manipulation, about a woman manipulating a young man through his adolescence in order to get what she wants on a cataclysmic world scale. So, we're on the last episode of Season 1 of Chainsaw Man. Aki defeats Ghost because he's got no fear, so it can't see him. Kobeni gets the drop on Snake Girl, takes care of her. Everything's going fucking peaches. You've got Power over here finally getting, like, a proper fight scene.
Yeah, she's having a blast. I mean, she's just killing all kinds of shit.
Tearing her way through zombies, having a good time. Everything's coming up good, guys, you know? It's a very successful episode.
So the comeback from the last episode when everyone was shot in the head.
This is an interesting bit. So Katana Devil, confused with Guy, whatever, he posits to Denji that Denji is a worse person than him because Denji doesn't feel bad about killing zombies. And this guy's like, even I feel bad if I accidentally kill a zombie, man. You're really fucked in the head. And Denji's like, whatever, I don't care. Shut the fuck up and die. So
I think Denji should have just said, yeah, but have you touched boobs?
I just like the Yakuza boy. He just comes off as kind of a douchebag.
Yeah,
you understand why he's upset, but everything he's upset about and the way he explains it, you're just like, dude, shut the fuck up.
It's just like, isn't there a better way you could have gone about this? Yeah. Like, why did you have to become a devil hybrid thing? Couldn't you have just, like, taken over your grandpa's position or something?
Then they have a big fucking fight on a train. Very Spider-Man 2, in my opinion. It looks fucking crazy. It looks awesome. I can't really capture it in screen grabs because the camera's all whooshing around. There's 3D elements integrated. Ridiculous blood sprays and violence. Not the most violent train scene in a cartoon. That still goes to, what's that incredibly violent cartoon that I'm... Invincible. But,
yeah.
But it's maybe a close second.
Yeah, I forgot it. It's been like a year and a half or 2 years since that has happened to me. And so I've forgotten about the whole father holding son in front of a train.
Did you forget about this this clear reference to Monty Python and the...
This is not...
He's saying I can still fight after his arms have been cut off, just like the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. This has to be a Monty Python reference. I can still fight.
Okay, you know what? Because I like to live in a fun world, I'll give it to you.
It's gotta be a Monty Python reference. There's so many movie references in this fucking manga. So ultimately, the way that Denji wins is after having his arms cut off and his head chainsaw broken. He has like a big final slash, with Katana Man.
Katana Man has this move where he like crouches.
Yeah,
and then he moves really fast.
It's basically the side B that Fox uses in Super Smash Brothers Melee. God, I hate myself.
I wish someone. Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking of the Smash Bros. Like Super Smash Bros. Where it's like, it's like a little twinkly noise. But I would like to see an edit of this show with nothing changed except for that sound effect added to when that guy does that.
Yeah, so he didn't realize that Chainsaw could make chainsaws come out of other parts of his body. Never trust anything a hunter says. Haha, I cut you in half with my leg.
You have to wonder about the far-reaching implications of Chainsaw Man being able to make chainsaws come out of other parts of his body. That's all I'm gonna say. But, you know.
Of course. You immediately tweeted after this, can he make a chainsaw come out of his dick? Asking for a friend.
The friend was me.
This scene, by the way, incredibly fucking gory, of the guy getting cut in half. This is one of those shows where even when you want the bad guy to die, seeing how fucking gruesome it is can still make you kind of like, ooh, damn, fuck. You really cut that guy in half. But that guy's not dead from being cut in half.
You're right.
He's a devil fusion, so he was fine. So instead, to punish him, they decide to take turns kicking him in the nuts
until the authorities arrive.
Whoever can make him scream the loudest before the cops get there win. And at first,
what do they win? Who knows?
At first, Aki's like, I'm not gonna do that. But then he remembers the Easy Revenge cigarette, and he's like, you know what? Let's have a ball. And the anime does a pretty good job of capturing the way this feels, but like in the manga in particular, it's just the most like, again, abandoned, like just the emotional catharsis. They're just like, yes, totally in the moment, broing out. Reminds me of an Office Space when they destroy the printer. It's just like, it's perfect. These are the moments that make Chainsaw Man great. It's all the kicking in the balls, basically. And then
Snake Girl
gets decapitated by whatever the fuck that is.
That's the Snake Demon.
Their speculation is that this was just an automatic function of her contract. If she were to be caught, then she would just be killed. So that was a useless lead. And the episode really just kind of ends with everybody chilling. Well, there's a lot of the slice of life imagery towards the end of the episode. Which is important because the relationship of these three characters really is like a sort of core to the Chainsaw Man experience. And that's it. That's Chainsaw Man Season 1.
Woohoo.
How do you feel about Chainsaw Man so far?
I like it a lot. I mean, I'd read the manga, which is not something I'd say about a lot of anime I've watched.
I have read the manga. I have been... Initially, I wasn't as into the anime. I think I would say everybody should consume both. They're both very much worth your while.
This show sounds kind of Reddit, not gonna lie.
It's very Reddit. There's no lie. There's nothing to hide there. But yeah, it's edgy, it's funny, it's ridiculous. It's the way that I think really what makes it feel unique is that like it sits in its scenes in a way that like is very cinematic and uncommon to manga, because manga is usually thinking about, we have to publish 20 pages a week. What story can we tell in those 20 pages? Chainsaw Man will use that to tell one part of an ongoing scene, and so it builds these big memorable scenes where all these crazy things happen. And even though the characters, they're not necessarily that deep, usually you just kind of learn random details about them in the conversations throughout the episodes. But that all forms into these really unique personalities that are really memorable. The chemistry between Power and Denji and Aki is so good. It compels a lot of the interest. To me, this show, particularly the anime, it started taking off when Denji and Power started interacting. When they really got to over there, the part where they kind of hate each other, and when they got to be best buddies, and they're going into the hotel arc, with their unique kind of perspective on the world and what they're doing. All that's what makes it so fun. Denji is instantly understandable, instantly likable, but also so fucking weird because he's such an outcast that it makes him feel unique, And of course, all the turbo violence is fun. I think the best is yet to come. Also, the manga only gets better.
There weren't enough devils.
You get crazier and crazier devils, crazier powers, crazier scenes, crazier plot twists. And I think the stuff that comes later will be even better for anime. I really do think the early chapters are probably the part that translated least well to animation, and I think it can only get better from here. But there were certain scenes like, everything about Himeno, like barfing in his mouth and then mounting him and all that, it just all was handled exactly right to me in the anime. It was like, this is exactly how these scenes should feel and play out. All of the dramatic violence in the later half of the season, all that stuff clicked. I mean, you felt sad about Himeno's death.
Yeah, it sucked.
At least as much as anybody probably did reading the manga. So, what is your... So this is something we're going to do on this show. As we wrap up each show we talk about, we're going to give a trajectory score. None of these shows are over yet. This is Chainsaw Man Season 1. You could consider it a score for the first season, but ultimately, the show's going to continue. It's probably going to be pretty much the same type of thing. What score do you think you are going to give Chainsaw Man by the time it's over? Do you think it will get better or worse? Where is it now, and where do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going to get way better. I think it's probably... I would give it like a 9 for the first season. I think it's probably going to end up being like a 10. Okay. Especially as the devils get more high concept and fun, the fights. I don't know, it's going to become JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in a way, I would imagine, of like a devil of the week, and we have to figure out what exactly we have to do to kill this particular devil in what weird particular circumstance. And then where do I think it's going to go? I know where it's going to go, so I can't say anything about that.
I would say I would give the anime an 8 so far. I would say when I was going back through the episodes and really just thinking about what actually happens, again, it is very straightforward and simple. Most of it is just the grimmest, the darkest idea you could have, which... if not for the way that it's presented and the unique personality of it, would be exhausting. And seeing it all back to back was more exhausting than it was fun to have experienced it, with the ebb and flow that it has. So, but I know it's going to get way crazier. As long as the anime can really, hold up to the quality of the manga, it has potential to be a 10 out of 10. I fucking love the manga. I think it's one of the best manga I've ever read. So... personal favorite. I think the anime is killing it, and I look forward to more. And we're done talking about Chainsaw Man.
All right.
That only took like 2 hours between 2 different live stream uploads. Maybe more than 2 hours.
And more than 2 live stream uploads, because there was that 1 second.
There was like 1 second. Yeah.
Speaking of which, you got to find those super chats.
Zero Tsun Gain with USD $10 says, thoughts on Chainsaw Man and the greater scheme of Devilman clones? I would say it is, in my opinion, the best Devilman clone. And granted, I haven't read every Devilman clone, including ones that have Devilman in the title, because for anybody who doesn't know, Devilman is a 5-volume manga that has been basically reproduced by like just calling it Devilman something else, but then just doing the same story across 5 volumes again, basically. And plenty of other anime have kind of copied it or copied elements of it. So, like, there's an aspect of Devilman in Evangelion, there's an aspect of it in Berserk. There's all these things that have drawn from it, and most of them are kind of taking it in somewhat of a different direction. Chainsaw Man is almost exactly Devilman. Like, the structure of the arcs, the way that the villains are, the growth of the character through his relationship, it's just a lot deeper and more in-depth because it's like 20 volumes as opposed to 5. And, Devilman is very, like, blunt force trauma, and Chainsaw Man is like that too, but it's also more insidious in that it has all these twists and these cinematic moments and this stuff that's like gets into your head a little bit more. Again, just being longer and being able to be more fleshed out adds a lot. I definitely think it's like the ultimate Devilman to me.
I have only seen the first episode of Devilman, so I can't really comment on it.
Crybaby at that. Which is itself, an adaptation of... It's pretty different, but it's... Alright, Jason Secord with Australian $7.99 says, what do you think of the backlash to Chainsaw Man, especially in Japan, and the whole, I suppose, hype fatigue response to it? I'm not too surprised to hear that. I haven't heard about this, so I don't know what the backlash is exactly. Chainsaw Man, I know, was a very popular manga. I'm not too surprised that the anime wouldn't hit with Japanese audiences because I don't feel like this type of like hyper violent action focused show usually is as much like, I don't know, they're like more popular in the West. Like, this is a show I expected to be more popular in the United States, especially because it's taking so much influence from like Western cinema and stuff. It makes sense to me. I think the hype fatigue response, I don't know, everyone always wants to be against something that everyone's talking about, you know? Like, I get that. I get wanting to be anti-hype about something. I think
like when that Cowboy Bebop remake came out, what was the deal with everyone hating on that? That was really good.
No, don't even lie about things like that.